Just wanted to make sure that everyone gets a chance to see this comet before it's gone, because not everyone has clear skies out there, or an area with low enough light pollution. So I'm just this is my first real live stream, so I took a long time to get everything set up, but I think it should go pretty smoothly. And I'll have the chat open over here just in case anyone sends me a message. So if anyone has any special requests about what objects they want to look at, just let me know. So just to start, this is the Comet C 2022 E3, and I'm just gonna move this down here. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is the core of the comet, which is that very bright area. Just gonna change a setting over here. Okay. So what we're doing right now is basically I'm starting off with one picture, and this is live, so this is my telescope looking at it right now. And we're just starting off with one picture, and then the camera takes another one, and then another one, and then it combines them together to reduce the noise in the image, so we get a much cleaner, sharper image. Oh yes, so Tim, I'm located in Calgary, Alberta, just outside of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, actually. And the software I'm using to control this right now, this is a software called SharpCap, and it is completely free if you just want a basic controlling software. So that's what I'm using for the camera, and then for the telescope itself, I'm using Stellarium. Hi, Mike. Glad you could join us as well. So for anybody just joining us now, this is Comet C 2022 E3. And I'm just going to increase the, or I guess decrease the brightness a little bit here, so we can see it better. Okay, so we can see the nucleus of the comet over here. That's that really bright part. And then you can see some green on the outer side. So that's the coma of the comet. And the green is caused by ionized gases in the nucleus there. So it's usually cyanogen gas or diatomic carbon that causes that green. Actually, let's see if we can adjust that a little bit more. Okay, there we go. Now we can see the green color a little bit better in the outer nucleus here. And then you can see the tail going up and left at about the 1 o'clock position. And the comet itself right now is about 60 million kilometers away, while those background stars around it are many, many light years away. In some cases, hundreds of light years away. So that's why the comet is moving so quickly in the foreground compared to those stars. The light pollution might be an issue for you, actually. Can you see the Andromeda galaxy from your area? Because if you can see the Andromeda galaxy with the binoculars, even if just faintly, you should be able to see this. Okay, so let me see where it is here. I'm just going to pull up Stellarium, which is the software I use. So let me just set the time to right now. And this is where the comet is. So Idayesh, so just above the star Idayesh. So you've got the tail of the Big Dipper right over here. So between the tail of the Big Dipper and Idaish. It should be just above it, but should be pretty faint. And what binoculars are you using? Because I was able to see it in some 10 by 42 binoculars last week. 12 by 50, it should definitely be visible in 12 by 50s. So yeah, as long as you're looking in the right place, yeah, that's roughly where it should be. So just above Idaish, it forms a triangle here. So let me just readjust this. There we go. I'm gonna change the color here a little. Okay, there we go. Now we can see the color a little bit better. You can see the greenish color at the bottom and then the tail faintly above. So the comet actually has, well, two main tails right now. There is the one going to the 1 o'clock position right now, which is the ion tail. And then you've got the dust tail, which is just very diffuse and very spread out right now underneath the ion tail. And then in some really wide field images, you can actually see a part of the dust tail going to the front of the comet. So we're starting to notice the nucleus trailing a little bit. So that shows you how much the comet has moved against the background stars in just the last 6-7 minutes that we've been looking at it. Oh yeah, definitely very diffuse. It does have a fairly bright coma, but it looks kind of like just like a bright star if you're looking at binoculars, looking through binoculars, and then it's surrounded just by that large diffuse coma. So that is what you should be seeing in the binoculars. So let us know if you have any luck with that, with the 12 by 50s. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this stack as well for later, so I can process it later as well. Okay. There we go. Okay, that should help. Yeah, so the color is becoming more obvious now as we stack more frames here. But what we can also do is we can also go to some other objects and then come back to the comet after. So if anybody has any suggestions for other objects that they want to see, yeah, just put it in the chat and I'll just swing the telescope over there and we can take a look at some other things as well in the meantime. And also, if my audio isn't loud enough, just let me know and I'll turn up the volume if you can't hear me okay. Okay, good luck. Wow, looks like we have 21 people in the chat. I just want to thank everyone for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I love sharing space and everything related to that with everybody else. So yeah, it means a lot to me that you guys joined me for my second time ever doing a live stream. So what we can do now, we'll come back to the comet as well. Yeah, great idea there, Tim. So let's go to some of the objects in that region. So since we're near Draco, we have the Cat's Eye Nebula. Ooh, we have this galaxy here, M101, the Pinwheel Galaxy. Yeah, what do you guys think? Should we move over to that? Okay, let's go over to the Pinwheel Galaxy and then we'll come back to the comet after that. Hopefully it'll be visible. The clouds are definitely starting to move towards that direction. But yeah, let's go to the galaxy and take a look. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell my telescope to go that way, and then I'll turn off the live stacking so it's not stacking anymore there. Okay, and then we'll just figure out what the telescope is looking at. Oh yeah, it looks like the clouds are definitely affecting that part of the sky right now. We'll just give it a second to find the galaxy here. So I use plate solving, which basically takes a picture of wherever the scope is pointed, and then the software solves to figure out what part of the sky it's in, and then it ends up yeah, just moving the mount to center whatever object we were trying to look at. So right now it's just solving. It usually takes maybe 15-20 seconds, and then we'll point to the right object. Yeah, that's correct there, Khalid. I am looking at M101. Okay, let's try again now. Okay, yeah, I think it's a little cloudy in that area. That's why the oh, actually, I can see why. So there are way too many clouds that moved in that direction. So what we're going to do instead is let's go to a part of the sky that doesn't have any clouds and looks really nice right now. For now, let's go over to Orion, and then we'll come back to the comet once those clouds move out of the way. So this is the Great Orion Nebula. So I just told the telescope to go to the Orion Nebula. So it's just slewing over there right now. So I just gotta give it a second here. Oh, no, gotta go to Orion. Okay, slewing over to the Orion Nebula now. We'll just give it a second here. So has anyone else here been able to see the comet visually so far? So my camera does not have the nebula filters on. I generally like to not use any filters most of the time because my skies are not as bad as they used to be. I used to live in downtown Edmonton, which was borderline middle of a huge city, and I recently just moved to a smaller town. So now I finally have fairly dark skies. So because of that, I don't use any filters right now. But oh, there we go. So we're just going to move over to the Orion Nebula. There we go. Oh yeah, there it is. So just give it 1 second. Hey, good night, Belen. There we are. That is the Orion Nebula. So let's go back to our normal settings. And 05 and then 8 seconds. Okay, I'm just going to turn on the live stacking again. And then we can see what the Orion Nebula will look like here. Okay, oh yeah, there is the live stack button. Clear that. Okay, there we go. So it's just starting to stack again. It'll take a second here for it to start showing up. Okay, so what we're looking at now is the Orion Nebula. So this is a large stellar nursery, as we call it. So this is where stars are born in the center of the nebula there. So this is yeah, an absolutely huge region, and our sun was born in a stellar nursery like that. And quite often I hear people saying that the colors of space are fake or not real, but you know, we're live streaming right now, not using any filters, and this is just the raw unprocessed image coming straight from the telescope right now. So we can definitely see some colors, just that in most cases we don't see the colors because, well, our eyes aren't sensitive enough. So I am using an IR cut filter on this camera, which means it cuts out the infrared and the ultraviolet. So what it's seeing is fairly close to to what our eyes sees in terms of the spectrum of light. So pretty close to natural color, what our eye would see, but our eyes generally see a bit more green. They're a bit more sensitive to green than the average camera. And our eyes can't quite collect light. So our eyes are not as good in low light situations compared to a camera because we need to see motion to be able to evade predators. Well, not so much anymore, but our ancestors did. So that was a selection pressure that kind of determined how our eyes balance being able to see in low light versus seeing motion. Oh yeah, Raymond. Well, that's awesome. That's exciting. Yeah, hopefully you'll let us know how that goes. This is actually my second fairly bright comet. The first comet I ever saw was Comet Neowise in 2020, and that was much brighter than this one. It was easier to see even from the city, but that was the first comet I ever saw. Tim, so yeah, this particular exposure right now that we're looking at, we can see it's equivalent to 2 minutes and 30 seconds of a single camera exposure. So only 2.5 minutes. But the Orion Nebula is actually quite bright, which is why it's so easy to see even in just exposures of a few minutes. Yeah, Aaron, this is a real-time stacked image. So the telescope is taking 8-second exposures, and then it is just combining the 8-second exposures, just piling them in real time. So the actual delay between when the scope takes a picture and when it gets added to the screen over here, it's maybe a fraction of a second. Oh, hi there. So yeah, the best time to know when to see the comet, I actually made a video recently on my YouTube channel. That video is titled "What Will the Comet Actually Look Like?" or something like that. And halfway through the video, it tells you exactly how to find it and where to look and what you can expect it to look like. So check out one of my recent videos about the comet, and it'll give you all the answers about where to find it. Well, thank you so much, Marcus. Much appreciated. I've wanted to do this for a really long time. I mean, I love sharing space with everyone, and I'm very lucky to have a good scope and live in fairly dark skies. So, so yeah, I mean, I love sharing this, and you know, if a lot of people are interested in this kind of thing, I will make sure I do more live streams like this in the future. And there are so many different objects we can look at, especially with a fast telescope like this. So yeah, I'll definitely be doing more of these in the future. So let's move over to another object. Let's see if we can see the Horsehead Nebula. I'm not very optimistic because the Horsehead is unbelievably faint from a city, but let's give it a shot anyway. So I'm just going to pause this one. Let's pull up Stellarium. That's the software that I use, and let's go to where the Horsehead Nebula is. Okay, so my telescope is now slewing over to the Horsehead Nebula. Yeah, the clouds are still covering the comet right now. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the comet in a little bit once once that part of the sky clears up again. But in the meantime, let's close this up. Okay, I'm just going to see if we can see the Horsehead Nebula. Oh, actually, you know what? We can. I'm starting to see that faint silhouette on the screen. So I'm just going to center that a little bit for us. And then we can see what it looks like. So the telescope I'm using is the Celestron C11 EdgeHD. And with the hyperstar setup, it's actually looking at f2, an aperture of f2. So any of the photographers here know how fast that is. So I'm going to move this down a little bit. Oh, wrong way. Okay, move it down a little bit more. Okay, so now let's, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the settings back here, get the picture going, set that to 8 seconds, turn on the live stacking option again. Clear. Okay, so there we go. So you can start to see the image coming through. Oh, yes. Yeah. Thanks, Tim. So the initial image that we were looking at, the one over here, this is from a software that I use for finding different targets. So this is a planetarium program that I use that tells me all the different objects in the sky. So now this image over here is the image from my scope right now, live, that's coming through. So the image is slowly getting better. It takes a couple of frames for the image to get better, and the image is upside down right now. So while in space there is really no upside down, but let me see if I can flip it. Yeah, no, I don't see an option to flip the image right side up, but that's okay. That is quite all right. But what you are looking at is the Horsehead Nebula. It looks like the head of a horse, and this is actually what initially got me into astronomy. So the first time I saw an object in space was in a book that somebody had thrown away. I was a little kid at the time, and I found that book, and then I saw the Horsehead Nebula in there, and it just blew my mind. And that was almost 30 years ago, and ever since then I've been obsessed with space. So this is the image that got me into astronomy, and that's actually surprisingly good for for imaging from a Bortle 6 location. So that's you can see the body of the horse, and then you can see its snout. It's upside down over here, so you'd have to kind of just flip it the right way up in your mind. But I mean, seeing this live in real time from the city, this is pretty incredible. So yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I love this. And so what we can do now, actually, we'll just save this image for later. And let's go over to another nebula nearby called the Flame Nebula. So I'm just going to zoom into my planetarium software and then slew over to this other object called the Flame Nebula. So now the picture should start forming here in a second. There we go. It'll take a second to just clear. Okay, we'll just start a picture. Now the Horsehead Nebula we were looking at is a large reflection nebula. Well, it's ionized by some of those stars nearby as well, but this is the Flame Nebula, and it's right near that really bright star called Alnitak in the constellation of Orion. M78. Okay, we can definitely go to M78. Now, one thing to notice is that this blue thing on the right edge of the screen, this is not part of the nebula. This is actually just a reflection from that really bright star Alnitak, because that star is reflecting inside my telescope. It's causing this little blue thing on the side. But what you're seeing in the nebula, which is lit up by the stars nearby, and then there's some dark, cold gas right in the center, which is what you see as that black part. So that's what we're seeing as the black part there. Okay, M78, we will go over to M78. Now in this software that I use, I can search for various kinds of, oh, oh, I forgot that was M78. So M78 is a very, very faint one, but we will give it a shot anyway. Just clear. Okay, let's see what we can come up with. The first image is just coming through now. We'll give it a second here to download. Okay, there we go. So that's Messier 78. It's as the software program takes some more pictures of that region, it's gonna get clearer. So Messier 78, this is another nebula, and this is also a reflection nebula. So what you're seeing in the background there is that dark dust everywhere, and then there are a couple of these bright stars in front of the dust that are actually carving out a cavity, carving out a cocoon inside the gas. And that's why the gas right behind these stars is lit up, but everything else around is completely dark. So we're gonna adjust the brightness here a little. Oh, and bring this down a bit. Okay, yeah, this is a very, very faint nebula, so I don't know if this is the best target for us right now, but yeah, there we go. Okay, so yeah, it's still a great target. Let's see what else we have in that region before we end up with too much cloud cover. Okay, so I'm going to pull up Stellarium again. That is the Astro program. And okay, does anybody else have any recommendations or anything they want to see here actually? Oh, let me check the comments in case we have any suggestions. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to, so that's Betelgeuse, that, okay, so this is the Rosette Nebula. I don't know if we'll be able to see it because again, the Rosette Nebula is one of those fairly faint nebulae. But we can we can give it a shot. Let's try it anyway. You never know until you try. So let's see if we'll be able to see the, oh, okay, yeah, we're starting to see something. So looking at my software program, this is what the nebula looks like. So there's this large red region of space, and this is an emission nebula. So those stars are basically lighting up the nebula around it, the hot gas around it. So let's reset that. Just gonna give it a second here. Okay, so the image is starting to form now. It takes a few seconds, but yeah, what we're seeing here, you see these large dust lanes inside the nebula. That's just darker, colder dust that's blocking the light of the nebula. See all this dust, and a lot of these stars that we're seeing here were actually born inside this large glowing cloud of gas. Yeah, that is pretty amazing. Oh, M45. Let me see if I can still see it. Oh, actually, we can see M45, but I think the problem is that M45 is going to be way too large. So we won't be able to see M45, unfortunately, there, Tim. But one thing we can see, since we're nearby, we can actually take a look at Betelgeuse, or, yeah, we'll come back to Betelgeuse here, but one thing we can take a look at here is the Crab Nebula. That's one of my favorite objects, so we're just going to head over to that quickly here. Actually, I'm just going to find it first. Okay, I'm going to close this here for a second. We're just going to quickly find the Crab Nebula by plate solving. Okay, so what it's doing right now is basically taking a quick picture of that region and then it's just going to align the telescope and find that object. When you're looking at these little objects, sometimes it can be, the mount isn't always accurate enough to perfectly get that in the center every time. So that's why we're just going to try again. There we go. Okay, so that was pretty quick. So what I'm going to do is go back here, turn this on to 8 seconds. Yeah, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about this object because the Crab Nebula is absolutely my favorite, one of my favorite objects actually. So I'm just going to reset this. Clear that. Okay, there we go. So the image should pop up here in a second. Okay, image is starting to form. Make that a little bit brighter so we can see what we're looking at. Oh, beautiful. Yep, this is going to be really good. I'll tell you why it's my favorite object. Okay, so what we're seeing on the screen now, this is the Crab Nebula. And this is the remains of a star that actually exploded about 1,000 years ago, actually in the year 1054 AD. And what we're looking at now here is the wreckage of that star that blew up, almost 1,000, or actually, yeah, almost 1,000 years ago. And we know that this is where that star was because the ancient Chinese astronomers actually documented it. And now we look at their star maps and we see that this is where that huge star appeared. And now we look in this area and we see this large diffuse object. And this is the wreckage of that star that exploded. Now it was a pretty massive star. It was quite large, which is why it exploded as a supernova. So smaller stars like our sun do not explode as supernovae. They turn into some of the other more diffuse planetary nebulae that we looked at. So this one that we're looking at right now. So you see some tendrils over here. Those tendrils are largely hydrogen gas. And right in the center of this object, right in the center of this nebula, we see a little bright light. That bright light is actually the core of that star that had exploded back 1,000 years ago. And the interesting thing about it is that core of the star, it's very, very tiny. Oh yeah, so actually, this is probably my favorite celestial body. That's a good question, but yeah, so interesting thing about this object right in the center, this pulsar, is that this is the core of that star that exploded, and it's very small. It's about the size of a city, about 20 kilometers across, but it spins very, very quickly. It spins 30 times per second. Now imagine an object the size of a city spinning 30 times per second. That's just ridiculously fast. And also, even though it's only the size of a city, this object weighs about 40% more than our sun. So it weighs about 500,000 times more than our Earth does, despite being 20 kilometers across. So that just blows my mind. The object is just so compact and so dense that a tiny, thimble full of material, like 1 teaspoon of this material, would weigh more than Mount Everest. That's how dense that material is, and that's how fast it's spinning. And the surface temperature of that object is about 1 million degrees. So it's just absolutely mind-boggling, just the properties involved there. So that's why that one is one of my favorite objects. So hopefully I didn't talk too long about that, but yeah, this one always gets me excited. And I did some calculations earlier today, and the surface of that neutron star, that pulsar in the center of that nebula, it's spinning at about 4,000 kilometers or 4,000 times faster than the Earth. So it's almost 3,000 kilometers 2,000 kilometers per second is the speed that it's spinning at. So that's quite mind-boggling. Okay, so galaxies. Let's see what galaxies we can see here right now. Because the clouds have moved in from the north, we'll see if we can find some galaxies in the south actually. So this is my planetarium program again. So this is where we are looking at yeah, so I'm not seeing a galaxy here, but you know what, there is one other object that I absolutely love. This one is called the January Salt and Pepper Cluster. Let's see if we can see it, and let's see if it'll fit. Yeah, it'll fit in the field of view, so let's go over to that. So we're just going to clear this one. We're going to go back and we're going to find that cluster, and then afterwards I'm going to see if I can find some galaxies for you. Okay, so we'll reset that. Just going to move this cluster over a little bit. Oh, M57, that's a really great target, but I think M57 might be too low for my location right now, because there's a wall right next to me here, so I think that's gonna block M57. But yeah, I absolutely love M57. That's another one of my favorite targets, Tim. It's just seeing a ring in space just sitting there. That was one of my first objects that I had ever looked at, so I absolutely love that object. Okay, Cone Nebula. Huh. I'll see if we can see that. That one might be a little bit tough there, but we'll take a look. Okay, so let's reset this one. Let's see if we can. Okay, I'm just going to move this object over a little bit. Okay, 2 seconds. I'll switch this to 1 second. Oh, it's gotta, yeah, forgot to clear that. There we go. And pause. Okay, I was wondering why I couldn't see the cluster. Okay, I'm just going to center this one quickly. Okay, actually, there we go. It's coming into view. So this is one of my favorite clusters to look at visually without a telescope. I usually look at this in my binoculars just because it's pretty bright. I don't really need a telescope for this one, so. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is reset that, go to the live stack. 8 seconds. Okay. Okay, so what you're seeing over here, this is a cluster called the Salt and Pepper Cluster, or Messier 37. And this is a large cluster of stars that are all kind of in the same region. And let's get the correct color there so we can see it a bit better. Okay, so yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's make this smaller so we can see the entire cluster. Yeah, so you can see a couple of different colors in there as well. I think one thing I'm noticing right now is that it's gotten maybe a little bit out of focus, so I'm just going to quickly actually focus this. Focus the image again. Clear. Okay. Yeah, I always have to make sure that what we're looking at is in focus. It's quite easy for things to go out of focus. So I'm just going to open up my focuser, bring up sharp cap again, and so this is my automatic focuser. I still have to focus manually, so it's not that automatic, but there we go. Okay, perfect. Close that up. And let's go back to, yeah, let's do 1 second exposures actually. Okay, now we can go back to live stacking. Clear that. Okay, it's clear. There we go. That looks a lot better and sharper now. Yeah, you can see the entire cluster. I'll take this out. Okay, let's check the... Oh, Leo triplet, okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, I do love the details. For like the first maybe 15 to 20 years that I was in this hobby, I didn't really have much equipment. So all I did was just read about objects that I hoped that someday I would get to see when I bought my first telescope. So that's the main reason that, you know, that I love learning about them and talking about them as well. I didn't have any equipment for the longest time with which to look at things. There we go. Okay, yeah, so let's see what other objects we can go take a look at now. Thank you. Oh yes, SharpCap does. So mainly when I'm imaging, I tend to use Nina. So I use autofocus in there. But SharpCap I've only ever used for live view, and I think that sometimes you know, if you're just doing live viewing, it's just faster to just manually focus than try to use the autofocus routine. But I will start using that more. But thank you for the heads up on that, Simon. Much appreciated. Okay, so let's see if we can find some galaxies now. Let me see where there are clouds up here. So back to the software program. Galaxies. Most of the sky over there is covered right now. Does anyone have any particular suggestions for galaxies in the northeast part of the sky? Actually, what we can do is, in the meantime, until I get some suggestions, we can look at the northern Triffid Nebula. This is another pretty small little nebula, but we'll see if we can get a view of it. Okay, I think I moved a little far, so I might just have to plate solve to find it. Yeah, let's check the comments here. Okay, where is everyone tuning in from? I'm always curious to see where in the world everyone is located. Like for anyone who might be joining us late, I'm actually just outside of Calgary, Alberta, and initially we looked at the comet, but now the clouds have moved into that part of the sky and completely obscured the comet. So I can't see anything in that direction now. So that's why we're trying out some different targets. So yeah, if the clouds move out of the way, I am going to switch back to the comet there, and then we can look at that again. But in the meantime, let's take a look at some of these other nebulae. So somebody said M104 in the comments. That's Messier 104, the galaxy. That one is unfortunately way too low for me here where I'm located. So I can't see that galaxy, unfortunately. I mean, I love that galaxy. I would love to be able to see it, but unfortunately it's not an option. So instead what we're looking at right now is the Little Triffid Nebula. So I'm just going to... There we go. So the nebula is it's coming into view a few seconds here. And in the meantime, let's see where everyone is from. Okay, Germany. Awesome. Yeah, you guys have some nice telescope stores in Europe. We times. Philippines. Oh, 2:45 p.m. That's awesome. It's almost midnight. It's almost midnight over here in Western Canada where I am. Brisbane. Awesome. Oh, that's great, Cameron. Ottawa, Ontario, Aaron. That's awesome. You know, I lived in Ottawa for a long time. I only moved out west about, I think, 7 years ago. Yeah, I moved out west to Western Canada here about 7 years ago. And before that, I was in Ottawa. So M81 and M82, those ones are still completely covered by clouds, unfortunately. I love those ones. I was looking at M82 last night. and it was quite nice. But right now that entire section is covered, so we'll keep trying a few different things until we find an object that's not covered by clouds. And there we go. Okay, so that's the little Triffid. Let's see what else. Oh yes, Auckland, New Zealand. Awesome. Well, welcome. Okay, so yeah, this is the little Triffid. It's good, but not the best. So let's see what else we have in that part of the sky right now. There's the flaming star, but I think that might be a little bit too big. Something above. Yeah, let's take another look at Orion, maybe for anyone who might be joining us late and hasn't seen it, and then we'll find another target. And also, actually, if you guys like, I can do this tomorrow as well. You know, if anyone is interested, I can definitely do some live streaming again tomorrow. Okay, now we are on the Orion Nebula. Let's take a look here. I'm just going to move this upwards a little bit. Oh. Okay, I have to close live stacking to be able to move west, east. So the Orion Nebula is coming into view. There we go. Okay, let's turn live view back on. Clear. There we go. So we're looking at the Orion Nebula again, and at the top left here, you see this streak going by. I think that's a satellite. So it looks like a streak because each individual exposure is 8 seconds long. So the satellite going through just got blurred. So this is the Orion Nebula. The center is very, very bright right now just because I think maybe the exposure time is a little bit long. I can bring that down to 4 seconds. And then we can stack again. There we go. Okay, we can see the center a little bit better now. And again, the stars in the center of this nebula were born from this large cloud of gas, and now those stars are lighting up the nebula. So this one's called an emission nebula because it's basically glowing because of the light of the stars within. So they're basically making it glow like a neon light. Yes. Yeah, Orion is definitely one of the easiest ones to identify. It was one of my first ones as well. Oh, Manu? No, I'm definitely a guy last I checked. It's dark in here, which is why I'm yeah, you can only see like a part of my face. Okay, Andromeda Galaxy. Actually, that's a good call. Let me see. So Andromeda, we would be able to see it, but the clouds are covering that as well right now. I feel like about 80% of my sky right now is covered by clouds, so I'm pointing at the only section that isn't. So we might have to end up calling it a night after this and say goodbye. But, you know, if anybody wants, I'll set up another one for tomorrow or sometime this week. And then we can look at some other objects. Actually, if tomorrow night is clear, I can set up another live viewing session for tomorrow night, and then we can look at the comet because it's supposed to stay clear until later tomorrow night. So tomorrow, same time as today, I'll set up a live stream and I'll post about that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the guiding has been pretty good. I polar aligned using SharpCap, and it does a very accurate job. Okay, Manu, yeah, good question. An object falling down to the earth 90 degrees and then suddenly changes its velocity. Not really. I've never seen anything like that, and you know, there are always stories about things, but No natural object would be able to do that because it requires power to change direction. And according to Newton's laws, an object in motion stays in motion, and you would need an external force to change its direction. However, sometimes an asteroid might be coming into the Earth's atmosphere, but if it's moving way too fast and it's coming in at an angle, it could just skip off our atmosphere. So that does happen sometimes. Well, that's the only case that I've seen that happening in. Running Man Nebula. Oh yes, great suggestion there. So let's go to Running Man. So the Running Man Nebula is right above the Orion Nebula. So we're just going to, it's pretty close by. So we'll just head over to that. It does actually look like a person who is running. So let's see if we're in the right place. Or if I have to, yeah, we'll have to give it a second here. So yeah, February 1st is still the closest and brightest for the comet. However, the moon is going to be up February 1st. So I recommend looking in the last week of January instead of, February 1st. So this next week might be the best one. Oh yeah, it is possible to see planets. The only planet right now that we'd be able to see is actually Mars. So I'm going to point over to that here in a second. But let's look at the Running Man Nebula first because we have it close by. I'm just going to move it up a little bit. Okay, let's see if this is the right place. Yep, that should be the right place. Let's set the exposures back to 8 seconds. And we'll just give it a second here to load. Okay, yeah, there we are. Okay, I'm gonna move it a little bit higher actually. Actually, in case the clouds move in, maybe I should, yeah, I should just live stack. Okay, it should start loading here in a second. Let's look at the comments. The ringed planet, unfortunately, that is below the horizon, or actually, yeah, it's too low in the horizon right now, so we wouldn't be able to see it right now from this place. Okay, so going to increase the brightness on this one here. Okay, there we are. Oh, that's beautiful. That was a great suggestion, so thank you for that. This one is called the Running Man Nebula. Now, what we're looking is upside down here because, well, my camera is upside down. But so these two things going up, these are the legs, and then this thing coming out of the right, and then this thing coming out of the left at the bottom, those are the arms. And then the head is at the very bottom. So this is like an upside down person. So that's why this one is called the Running Man Nebula. And I love the colors on this nebula. It's just this, this I guess reddish pinkish color, but it is very, very subtle. So that's one of the things I like about this nebula, and it's right above the Orion Nebula, so it is really easy to find. And yeah, I should spend more time imaging this nebula, but I haven't spent that much time on it yet. But one of these days, I will get some good pictures of this one too. Yeah, you're very welcome, Manu. So yeah, it's we'll probably stay out for another maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then after that, I'll have to I'll have to maybe call it a night because the clouds would have moved in. But yeah, tomorrow same time I'll be live streaming the comet, and the clouds shouldn't be there tomorrow, so we should be able to get a much nicer view of the comet tomorrow. So if you'd like to join, and if you have any suggestions for other objects to look at as well, just let me know. Just comment anywhere on my channel. So yeah, the Running Man Nebula is coming along quite nicely. Beautiful pinkish hue there. And those are again some of the stars that were likely born from the nebula. And now the light of those stars is lighting up the gas in that nebula there. So that's, yeah, very nice. So we can just save this image. And then we can look at the planet Mars. Oh, sorry, wrong button. Oh, yeah, for the longest time, I did not see why it was called the Running Man Nebula. I couldn't see a man anywhere. But yeah, you have to use your imagination a little bit. But if you look at it upside down, it definitely looks like a person running. I think for tomorrow, what I might do is I might turn my camera upside down so some of these things look the right way up. But the problem is when you go to the other part of the sky, then everything over there is upside down. So that's why we say in space there is no up or down. Everything is just the way that it is. So let's look at the planet Mars while we still can. I'm just going to save this one again. Tomorrow, same time, it should show up. Oh, you're heading to the Lady of Peace. Yeah, so it's going to be 11 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But after I get back inside from doing this, I'm going to oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. But yeah, tomorrow, same time, 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I'm gonna go in and make the event for tomorrow, so that you'll be able to see what time it is in your location for everybody who wants to join again tomorrow. And if you have any friends that are interested in astronomy as well, feel free to let them know about it, and they can log in and join us on the live stream as well. There we go. That's a better view of the Running Man Nebula. So yeah, absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love this nebula. Just the subtle blues and the pink hues in here are really nice. But let's go over to the planet Mars and see if we can see anything. I don't think we will, because Mars is a little bit too small for this particular telescope. So some telescopes are good at planets. Some telescopes are good at deep sky objects. So it just depends on what the telescope is made for. And this particular telescope is right now it's set up for deep sky objects. At the moment, it's not set up for viewing the planets, but we will give it a shot anyway. I like to try different things anyway, so let's see what it looks like. Oh, so there is the planet Mars. You can see the distinctive red color. So very bright and red. We'll just get it in the center here. And then we can try to adjust the exposure so we can see it better. Maybe 1/30th of a second. Decrease the gain. Yeah, I can't promise that Mars is going to look great, but we might be able to see what the surface of it looks like. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to zoom in a little bit, well, a lot actually. Let's try 400%. Okay, so there we go. So we can see the surface of Mars now. You see it as an actual disk, unlike the stars. Okay, just checking. Yeah, stream is still going. Okay. So yeah, that's the planet Mars, and we can see its surface right now. I can't see any features on the surface because I think even at 1,000th of a second, it's a little bit, oh, there we go. So the surface is looking a little bit better. I've had to zoom in a lot because my telescope, right now, it's only 560 millimeter focal length, the way it's set up right now. So that's why it looks tiny. I can try to make it bigger, as big as it gets. There we go. But it looks pixelated because the telescope isn't set up for that. But you can definitely see the nice dark color and maybe a darker region near the top. But yeah, I can't see any detail at the moment. But in the future, I will use one of my bigger telescopes to live stream the planets. So we should be able to get a really good view then. I do have a very large 16-inch Dobsonian telescope, so we can use that to do some live streaming. Okay, well, it's 12 o'clock now, so it's time to call it a night. I just want to thank everyone for joining me. Yeah, I know we've got people from all over the world over here, and I know in some cases it's nighttime where you are. So thank you so much. And yeah, if you're interested, I'll be here same time tomorrow to do another live stream. And then I'm thinking maybe at least once a month or so I'll try to do a live stream, and whatever objects you want to look at, you can just post in the comments and we'll turn the telescope to those and take a look. And hopefully, yeah, with time, these live streams will get better and better. And again, well, have a good night and clear skies. Take care, everyone. Oh yes, very good question. Yes, the nebulae are way, way, way larger in the sky. So even though the nebulae are very, very far away, the nebulae are billions or trillions of times larger than the planet Mars, actually. So that's why, a nebula might be, even a small nebula is usually about 100 trillion kilometers across, whereas Mars is, a couple of thousand kilometers across, I think 6,000 or something like that. So the nebulae are way, way larger. So that's why it's easier to see the nebulae than Mars. Now, if I was using my big telescope that really zooms in on the planets, then the nebulae would be harder to see with that telescope because it would be way too zoomed in. So we would only see a tiny part of the nebula. So there are different telescopes that are good for different things. Okay, you're very welcome. Have a good night, everyone. Okay, take care. So I'm going to end the live stream, and it'll still be available on the channel if anybody wants to, if you want to share it with anybody later. Otherwise, I hope to see some people tomorrow, and for anyone who can't make it tomorrow, I will see you guys around. So have a good night.